Hi everyone! At this point, everyone knows that I never really got out of my indie game phase because I basically fell in love with indie games, and it's something that I always look forward to. Seeing new games, seeing the way that developers express their games and everything, it's something that I've really been enjoying doing. And with that, I came across a game called The Spirit and a Mouse a couple of weeks ago. Now, what originally pulled me into The Spirit and the Mouse was the fact that I saw some gameplay and some trailers, and it just looked very similar to Stray. It gave me the same vibes, and I loved the game Stray, and I wanted to experience something similar all over again. The way that the world is built, the fact that it's also based on an animal trying to do things in a more humanoid world. And it's just giving you that sort of an experience where you're not a human, you're an animal and you're using this animal's skill sets in order to progress through the game. Like, let's be real, we all always wondered what our lives would be like if we were an actual animal, right? These are the sorts of games that make you live that fantasy. But with this game in particular, what happens is you are a mouse that lives in the streets of Paris and you get the powers of electricity. So this is basically Ratatouille with a Pikachu mod on it. Throughout this review, I'm going to be talking about visuals, the locations in the game, the puzzles, gameplay, and story, rate them all out of 5, and give you a final score. Pretty sure that's what all my other review videos have been so far as well. This game is a game that's set entirely during nighttime, so it has a lot to work with in terms of trying to make everything look good, because it's always dark in there. But it does a really good job in that, because it basically contrasts everything in a way where you understand what's going on, and it's also really pretty to look at. While you're doing things in the game, you'll basically be treated to a lot of eye candy that's going to be looking nice whenever you look at it. Not to mention when you're running around these towns, it looks pretty nice. You got gardens over here, you got cafes over here, you got nicely lit little stores or something. So I don't think this game falls short of anything. The only place that I think it falls kind of short is just the fact that it doesn't seem like it was completed, that's all. I feel like a little bit more detail could have gone into the visuals, but overall I think it looks pretty good, so I'll give this a 4 out of 5. So this game is supposed to be set in Paris or France or something. Honestly, I don't even remember at this point. But unless they told me this is where it's supposed to be set, I don't think I would have known. Basically, the way that this game is set is you're running around in a run-of-the-mill old bunch of towns, basically. And unless I knew this was Paris or France, I wouldn't have guessed. It just feels like anywhere that I would have lived in the past, basically. Like, you wanna know what it looks like? You guys remember when we used to do a history class back in high school, yeah? And we learned about the plague, or the Black Death and stuff, and all of the images that we would see from back then, it just looked like those images. So, like, in my head, I'm just thinking it's an old town. It doesn't matter which country, it's just an old town. I think the game could have done a much better job at trying to actually portray that it's France, with the aspects of like love or something, because Paris and France is known for love. This entire game just basically revolved around helping people getting their own stuff done, and like businesses and stuff, and like the only one part of love that I feel like I saw was when you fixed a relationship between a brother and sister or something. And on top of that, I wouldn't say there was anything actually that memorable about the locations that we were put in. Yes, you did a lot of things in a lot of the places, but it's just kind of like, you did that because you had to do it, because not because you want to do it. You didn't have a choice, and I feel like there was just no cultural relevance in there with the locations. The culture could have just been something to do with the game as well, something to do with something that only a mouse can do, but apparently not. So unfortunately, I would have to give the locations of this game a 2 out of 5. So, this game is a problem-solving game. It's a puzzle game, basically. But I'm pretty sure it wasn't built for adults. If I'm being absolutely honest, I didn't even think it was built for kids. I think they just put the puzzles in there for the sake of having a puzzle. Because when I was doing the puzzles, a lot of the time what I was doing was really overthinking things, because I've played so many other games with so many more difficult puzzles, to the point in my brain it just didn't click that, hey, you just have to do this one thing to make it work. I'd be like running around thinking, nah, there's something that I'm gonna miss over here, isn't it? It can't be that easy. But in the end of the day, the puzzles were really easy. But I wouldn't say they weren't enjoyable, because these puzzles also gave some really cool and unique stories behind it. My personal favorite story, spoilers, was the guy who started to cook with a hairdryer because his oven stopped working. Wow, this guy. I like the puzzles simply because they had an outcome and I really like those outcomes. But when it came to the difficulty of puzzles, I firmly believe that puzzles should be difficult. It should start off easy but progressively get harder and harder. But it doesn't really get harder. It stays pretty simple the entire time. And if I'm being absolutely honest, even though I feel like this game is built for kids, even kids would find that very boring. So I'll give the puzzles of this game a 3 out of 5. The story. So again, heavy spoilers from here on out. The story of this game revolves around a rat who gets the power of electricity from some god that falls out of the sky, basically. This mouse, has a big longing to help humans. For whatever reason. So I know I'm over here overthinking this again, but I'm over here thinking, if you're a mouse, why would you want to help a human unless a human has somehow helped you? That's just how life works. Most mouse we meet in real life, they're not friendly, they run away from you, they eat your stuff, they piss off your cat. And then just going straight into the story and be hit with dialogue saying, oh, I wish I can help humans. My question is, why do you want to help humans? Has a human ever done something for you? I feel like that's a part of the story that I would have liked to know. Why does this mouse want to help humans? Because is that just not how it works with, like, most things? If someone helps you, you want to help them. It's just never like, oh, I'm gonna help you. But aside from that, we got a mouse that's wanting to help people and suddenly gets the power of electricity in a place where a lot of the place's electric powers have been going away. So, lucky. We got a mouse that can provide electricity. You need to go to various different locations to help various different people doing various different things. So it does change over time, the things that you have to do. And all of that comes into an amalgamation of trying to do everything that you learned over the times. And I think that's really cute. In the end of the day, this story is really simple. This story is easy to follow. It's not really abstract at all. You know what you're doing, you know how you're supposed to be doing something, you know where you're supposed to be going, and you know how much time something is going to be taking for the most part. So storytelling wise, even though I have a lot of questions, I think it's unique. So I'll give this a 3 out of 5. So the gameplay in this, you do a very minimal amount of things, and over time you have to do more things, but it never goes to a point where you're actually doing too much. It's always a little, and then that little just goes up by a little bit. So by the end of it, your gameplay goes from almost nothing to a little bit of something. For the most part, everything runs smoothly, but I do think some things look choppy when it comes to gameplay. Like, when you jump, you feel like you're in the air for a tad bit longer than you should, and you shouldn't be going as high and low as you're supposed to go. Those little things, and for the most part, it just doesn't feel like there's a lot to do during this game for a world that's set up in a way that's relatively big. Something that I would have loved to see over the gameplay was every place you go, there was a little something to do. So don't have empty houses or anything. If you're only going to be working with 10 houses, make a world where there's just 10 houses. Maybe a little something in the middle. Not a huge world where you're only going to be helping 10 people, but there's like 50 houses. That doesn't look good to me, basically. But overall, the gameplay for what you do get, most things, again, I said, run smoothly. And one big bonus, there's no fall damage. I always say this, if a game doesn't have fall damage, that's a point automatically. So I'll give gameplay for this a 3 out of 5. Now, this game isn't really that much of an expensive game, but I think this game also suffers from the fact that it's not really built for adults or kids, but it's advertised for kids. If I were to buy this game for anyone, I would buy it for older people, grandparents basically. Because this game doesn't really have any of those big sensory events that excites kids or deep, meaningful story that excites adults. It's just very basic. You have to help humans and you have to press a whole bunch of buttons to do things. And you don't even have to press the buttons quickly. You just move around, test everything out. So like I said, I feel like this game, even though it's kind of meant for kids, it's most suited for older people. If you've got a grandparent, buy this game for them. I am sure they will absolutely love it. Me personally though, do I like this game? I wouldn't say I love the game. I wouldn't say I even like the game. The game was alright. I don't regret buying it. I don't regret playing it. I had a good time towards the end of the game when I was streaming it and I had a lot of people come in to watch it with me. But it's not a game that I'm going to be visiting again anytime soon. Maybe not for the next 50 years. It's definitely a cute little game. I would say it is similar to Stray, but it's dumbed down a lot from Stray. Like I said, not a lot of sensory events, not a lot of deep storylines, not a lot of anxiety going on, basically. Just a cute little short story that you have to play. So adding everything up, this game gets a solid 6 out of 10. Make of that score what you will, but that's the end of this video. Thank you for watching. Make sure you go watch my other review videos for the other games I've done. I'm planning on also releasing another review video of another game that I played, and I also really enjoyed that game, called Tunic. Stay tuned for that sometime soon.